Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV2. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Hearts ready to go to the wire with a safety certificate. Scottish clubs kept apart in the Challenge Cup semi-final draw. And a World Cup without Italy. Yeah, just a few of the topics we were discussing on the programme tonight. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin, and I'm delighted to say our Bitroom guest is Queen's Park manager Gus MacPherson, and great to have you on board. Gus, we'll talk about 150th year of Queen's Park just shortly. Here's a look at the morning papers, the back page headlines. First of all, the Daily Record, and I beat it, you can do it too, Liam. This is, of course, a heartfelt message from Stilian Petrov to Liam Miller, who's battling against cancer. And also there's a little sidebar there from Johnny Evans. Please don't leave Northern Ireland. This is a plea to Michael O'Neill, the Northern Ireland boss, who has a big decision to make. And up there at the top is the Italian sob. Italy not going to the World Cup. Almost unthinkable. The Sun. And again, at this moment, there's a big wait on to see if Tynecastle will get the safety certificate in time. And also Irish in SFA sweat relating to Michael O'Neill once more. And there you have the Mail, and the end of the world as Italy crash out of the World Cup. And Gianluigi Buffon has obviously played his last game for the Azzurri. It's an incredible end to a brilliant career for Buffon. And Italy are not in the World Cup. United set their sights on attaining elite status. This is, of course, relating to the project which 8 clubs will be involved in with Project Brave. And there you have the back page headlines. One of them which caught my eye and which we'll be talking about now, which is amazing, Ruffy. Italy not at the World Cup.
Yeah, I think on the evidence of the other night there, they definitely don't have the calibre of the players they used to have, or the ones that we were used to seeing. And obviously, like everybody else, they'll have to start rebuilding again for the future. But they have got a lot of young players in there. Same old thing, you know, if they'd taken their chances, they might have got through, but certainly don't have the quality they used to have.
Yeah, and I think the good thing is, Gus, there's a big round of, you know, panic meetings, and they'll go through Think Tank 1 first of all. They'll have that, then they could maybe pay for Think Tank 2, bring in a First Minister, and then go back to the original plan they had in the 70s.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? But they were with no Netherlands there either. You know, so it's not just Scotland that are debating the way forward. I think these other countries, who we have in the past looked at for guidance to how our game should be played. I think the most recent one has been the Spanish football. Arguably, that's not worked either. So everybody's got to get their heads together again and decide what is best way to progress our game, which for us is the most important one.
Yeah, should we just go back to the basics of just make players technically the best they possibly can be, you know, that ability to control that ball, work on their skills. Should we allow them a little bit of freedom to go and play the game and enjoy the game, as well as obviously the strategic and vital coaching that they need tactically?
The coaching should really only come in, you know, 15, 16, you start coaching them a game at that point. Earlier on than that, it's just about the basics. Pass and control the ball, be comfortable with your technique. Don't complicate things, because the most important element that sometimes gets lost is the kids must enjoy it. As I said, when we were growing up ourselves, you just went out and played. You just went and enjoyed it. Whatever the environment was, you enjoyed it. Now there is incredible pressure put on 10, 11, 12-year-olds when they're in the academy structures to play in a certain way, not just have that freedom to go and express themselves and to enjoy it. And that is a key part to it, that nobody coaches you at that age, or should coach you at that age, to deal with pressure. Just go and play.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say, and you mentioned there about, I mean, there are a few players, Daniele De Rossi, Barzagli, Buffon, Chiellini will probably retire as well from Italy. But that side is bereft of what I would call that special player, someone to unlock a defence. I mean, if you go back down through the years, you look at a Pirlo, you look at a Baggio. For me, I can remember watching one of the World Cups as a boy in '82, Ruffy. There was a guy who played in the middle of the park for Italy, Bruno Conti, who was absolutely sensational. He had a left peg that could open up a tin of beans. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And of course, if you've got Paolo Rossi up there and then Claudio Gentili just to stiffen everybody behind him, then you've got the makings of
the
not a
names
bad
just
team.
rhyme off your tongue.
Yeah.
The quality was there, and that ruthlessness that was at the back as well. And goal scorers. I mean, Scalacci came onto the scene really late on.
Yeah.
But it was just plucked from nowhere, and then suddenly everything just clicked into place at the World Cup. Really, really top quality. But they just, as I say, don't have it at the moment. But as I say, neither do the Dutch. They've been struggling to have that key player or a couple of match winners within their team. Good technical players, but just match winners just seem to be in short supply at the moment for a lot of nations.
Yeah, I mean, again, we beat ourselves up, Ruffy. I certainly, I mean, we used to, when we had Walter and Alex McLeish, they had a team that looked and thought, okay, what are our strengths? We don't have an unbelievable out-and-out goal scorer. We don't have, an incredibly gifted midfielder who can open up defences. But we have a structure that they'll play to make them difficult to beat. And they almost pulled it off, Alex McLeish in the match against Italy. But I think sometimes we look too deep into it. I mean, did you look at Sweden and think, wow, I didn't look at that side. I mean, they had everybody behind the ball. They had a job to do. In the first leg, they scored with a deflection. And, I mean, are we looking at them and thinking, that's the way we should be adopting it, just get there by hook or by crook?
Well, I think if you ask anybody, if you come up against a team who you've got stats that prove it, that they're very hard to beat, you're going to get a hard game. If you look at Switzerland, I think they went through their whole group and only lost one game. And 50% of their games, they never lost a goal. I mean, you could see why, the way they played. They went forward now and again and should have won by maybe 2 or 3. But apart from that, they were just solid. That's why I always get into this debate about, we can't compete. Of course you can compete. It doesn't matter who's on the other side of the park. There can be £100 million players or 50 million players. If you're organised and set yourself as the Scotland team that you're talking about, there's always a chance. I think it's really defeative to say, oh no, we can't compete against the guys, they're too good. Yeah,
well, it annoys me, and I'm sure some players might, be throwing things at the television, but it annoys me when I hear players saying, well, technically they're better than us. I just find that annoying, because we used to have those players. Have the players now dropped so far in the Scottish game, or we don't have enough of them who worked on their technical ability? Do we have a situation? I mean, Gordon Strachan get absolutely annihilated for talking about genetics, but I think the genetics for us is the 2 centre-halves. We didn't have 2 centre-halves, so we gave goals away in games that was just criminal.
It is a major factor. Gordon was bereft. I don't know why Gordon said it. I think Gordon said it for many a year. I remember him saying it on the media when he was the Celtic manager. He said he wanted the best technical team and the best physical team as well, because that's a major factor in the modern day game. It's not just football. Rugby's exactly the same. I mean, if you compare, the athleticism of players now compared to maybe 20, 30 years ago, it's completely changed. Football's the same. We are not blessed with the biggest players. We have some very, very good technical players, a lot of skill within our group. But sometimes when it comes down to the physical side, we are left wanting, and especially in the defensive area. They can come up against some big lads, and it's not just throughout the team. I looked at the Swedish team last night. They were big, physically very, very strong, and they just went back and sat on the 18-yard line and said, well, come and break us down.
Well, I think that's a great point you make, Gus, because last night at some point I thought to myself, well, unless somebody picks a ball in behind, and even then when it got in behind to the byline, as soon as it went into the box, you had these towering defenders, Ruff, who were quite happy to deal with anything that was in there.
Yeah, but I could go back to the Scotland-Slovakia game when Slovakia went down to 10 men. They just said, right, here we are. We'll just sit here Skittle at the back, the other big boy. They just soaked up everything, blocked everything, got in the way. And but if we were to just say we're talking, say if we were to went down to 10 men and we were away from home, could we do that? Could we go 75 minutes and go see out a nothing each?
Well, we couldn't hang on for however long it was against England. You know, we got ourselves into a winning position, and it was just a ball coming into the box, and we didn't defend it properly. You know, so there's key moments in games. I understand that, but that was a key moment in the campaign that we found ourselves in a winning position, and we couldn't hang on to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder how much soul searching will be going on in Italy right now. You can't believe they're not at a World Cup. Okay, from Italy, we'll talk to Gus about Queen's Park. We'll look at the draw for the Iron Brew Challenge Cup, and after the break we'll also look at the problem that Hearts have. The clock is ticking. Will they get that safety certificate for Tynecastle for the weekend? I was so off the mark there, Robbie, Defiant Belief, and I know you were a big Bewitched fan, to be honest with you.
I was further off the mark than you.
And Gus, no point. You just opted for the middle one that we weren't picking. Okay, this is the football show, and Gus MacPherson, the Queen's Park boss, is our boot-room guest. Hearts looks as if they're going to go down to the wire for a safety certificate, but I'm sure it'll all work out in the end, because it would be mightily embarrassing if they don't get that game going at the weekend, Ruffy.
Well, it's a strange one, leaving it so late. You know, obviously Partick Thistle just got to come through for Glasgow, but to leave it to the last minute, I mean, what do you do if you don't get it? You know, you leave it to the last minute. Do you cancel the game? Do you? I mean, I don't know what they would do. Surely they could. Do they have to use that stand? Do they have to have it officially open? And surely they can use the 3 other stands for the game and just cordon that off.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, with the press allocated, obviously, seats in there, Ruffy, it's going to be mightily difficult to shift them all over to the other stand. There are season ticket holders who have been allocated seats in that stand as well. It could be potentially close to a sellout. They want to make it a gala occasion, and over and above that, I think to get the safety certificate, you can't have people coming into a stand that doesn't have one. So where do they all enter? Where does everybody? Where are they all located? So there's so many complications to it. I don't think you can even contemplate it without that safety certificate in place.
The work's obviously going to continue going into the 11th hour, you know. And I think, where is the cut-off point? I think you've got to be fair to Partick Thistle as well in terms of their preparation.
Yeah.
And also the Hearts players as well. So there will be a cut-off point, whether that is Friday, whenever, you know. It's a difficult one to call, but they'll be desperate to get it on, because they've not picked up many points at Murrayfield, you know, and they'll be delighted to get back to Tynecastle, because if that is a sellout and full crowd, I think that will generate an incredible atmosphere there.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a smirk coming over my face only for the fact, you know, if the team's no good, it doesn't matter what stadium you're playing in, and right now they don't look any good.
I think they'll be wanting that to give the team a lift. You know, it's trying to get that relationship between the supporters and the team, the club, bringing everybody together.
Yeah.
I was at the Kilmarnock Hearts game at Murrayfield, the first time I went through to Murrayfield for a sporting event, and it was soulless. There was, I think it was 17,000 that were there. And Hearts were poor in the first half.
Yeah.
Played considerably better in the second half, but still in a 70-odd thousand stadium with that amount there, it was eerie. It wasn't a great atmosphere.
Yeah, I have to be honest with you, Ruffy, at the weekend I was out with a few of friends who are all Hearts fans. I do have friends who support other teams, and they are not enamoured with the way the team is playing at the moment. You know, the safety certificate aside, they either get it or they don't. Hopefully they do, fingers crossed. Fabulous atmosphere. I think it's the one club right now where everything off the field seems to be looking great, but on the field, I think slowly but surely, Craig Levein will have to start getting it right on the park. The team need to start playing some type of football that excites the fans.
I think it has been a negative thing for them playing so many away games. You know, if you're in a team and your 8 games are all away from home coming up, you know, psychologically, if you're not picking up points, it's going to affect you sometime sooner or later. I know what you're saying. You know, you'd like to see them playing better football. I think you need 4 or 5 players to come in, you know, probably in January. But it will make a difference when they go back home and getting obviously 1 out of 2 at home rather than like 8 away from home.
Yeah,
which,
I did mention to the Hearts fans, Ruffy, at the weekend that, well, maybe he needs a transfer window, and they said he's had the last 6 or 7.
Well, if we believe that he was part of the manager's signing, and yeah, then you would have to agree with them. But you know, I think we'll have to wait and see what kind of players that he does feel as if can wear that jersey.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic stadium. I can see where you're coming from, Gus, because in there, the atmosphere for me is up there with the best. It's absolutely magnificent. When it's bouncing, you know, I like any stadium where, you know, people want to, you know, clap you on the back, literally from the side of the ground just for a throw-in, you know.
They're right on top
Oh,
of
it's
you.
brilliant.
What is it, 2 or 3 yards from the playing surface, you know, and you're right on top of it. I think the most memorable one that I've been in recent years, it was a Sunday, it was against Celtic, and I was working for the media, and it was incredible. It must have been about 5 or 6 years ago. The atmosphere was incredible. It really was, you know, and you're going into that. And if that can be replicated, and I'm sure even better with this new stand, it will be quite something.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about your side, Queen's Park. 150th anniversary. It was a fantastic night. I mean, I'm sure you won't be peeved at me for saying I think you and I were probably the
You were on top form.
Well, I was about to say I was along with you the only 2 that I thought to myself, we're not famous because everybody else was. It was a fantastic gala occasion.
It was a special day for myself. I was fortunate enough to pick Sir Alex up at the airport. Christine, the general manager, asked me what I was doing on Friday afternoon. Would I be able to collect him? Yeah. I think she was shocked at how excited I was at getting the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, you take one for the team there.
Yes, yes. It was a terrific gesture for myself.
And had you cleaned up the Rolls Royce?
Picked him up. I was slightly late as well. He was standing waiting on me. We got him back hotel, and I was able to have 2 hours of his company,
which is
just phenomenal. It really is.
What I mean, we all know him as special, but in an inner sanctum of players and managers, is it a chance for you to kind of, in that 2 hours, just listen to his stories or maybe try and pick his brains on things? I mean, everybody learns every day of the week.
No, it wasn't so. It was just probably a really informal, relaxed conversation with him and seeing what an incredible human being he is, what a humble guy that he is. I was fortunate a few years back, myself and Andy Milne went down to Carrington, and that's when we were picking his brains. That was the working day, and we were there from about 9:30 in the morning, and he didn't leave our side until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. Incredible.
What made him special as far as the coaching when you were there? I mean, what were the things that you thought when you turn around to Andy and say, look at this?
I think it was just his presence there. I think it'd probably just be his man management in terms of throughout his career, identifying players for a club like Man United that have got to be winning things at the very, very top. I mean, Champions League and whatever, and your Premiership, got to be winning things. Top quality players there, and the utmost respect that they had for him, you know, and even just in passing in the corridor, you know, you could feel the presence that he had there. Yeah,
I'll tell you one of the lines that he delivered that I thought was absolutely magnificent on the night, Gus, which you'll appreciate, Ruffy, was he was talking about the people, media, because he's fantastic. When he wants to leather you, he can leather you. But he was talking about the fact that everybody was saying it was a rotten side that he'd left. He said, we won the league by,
11 points.
11 points, yeah. And he said, They won the title.
And there's still 8 of that team still at the club.
Yeah.
He was for some strange reason, he was trying to justify his exit from Manchester United, needing no justification whatsoever, just for what he had achieved, even in his final season. But you know, at that point, as you say, you could even feel it at that point, how he was speaking, the passion that he had, even from his early days at Queen's Park.
In a small bit that Gus is talking about man management, if you look at the players that he dealt with, right, and you look at the managers now who are dealing with the same kind of players and can't do it, like Chelsea, Mourinho losing it at Chelsea because of the big players. If there was anybody at Man United who stepped out of line, bang, no hesitation.
Well, it's funny actually, because I think the only player that he regrets bulleting out the door was Jaap Stam. But he did say, you know, going into the whole anniversary celebration, I mean, he was still going back talking about how great a player Frank McDougall was at Aberdeen. So, you know, his recollection of things. We had Patrick Barkley in here talking about the attention to detail of Sir Matt Busby. Fergie seemed to replicate that. I think that's a great quality in managers who it doesn't matter if you're the cleaning lady or you're the star striker. Everybody he treats the same.
He made a point, you know, that he spoke to everybody, you know, that he came across when he was at Carrington, well, at Old Trafford. He knew everybody, he knew everybody's family, you know, details and how he was going to communicate with them. It's just a skill in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing, Ruffy, is every time he gets in a taxi from the airport, he meets a taxi driver who knew his brother or somebody or his cousin from Govan, as if they'd just said goodbye to him the day before. That's the great quality.
Actually, the taxi driver that collected him from Hampden and actually took him to the airport again in the morning was Alan Logan, who he signed for at St Mirren. So he used to be a coach. He was Gardner Spears' assistant at Queen's Park, and he was driving the TP. He was the one that picked him up, and he could remember him.
Yeah, brilliant. I wonder what the tip was like. I wonder if he left a tip. Anyway, classic. I told you he'd stick in, son, you when he was driving his taxi. Anyway, on that note, sorry, Alan. After the break, we are going to talk about an old Fergie player, of course, who's got a new job in management as well. Join us after the break. Here's teaser question number 2. What I'm about to tell you, you will never believe, by the way. Honestly. Ruffy's gone for 1985 and Gus has gone for 1972. The two of you are so out of touch it defies belief. You know, 85.
Well, I was just thrown off.
Did they think they needed another bridge in the Fourth Road area?
No, I was thrown off by the 1-0, the Richard Gough header. Yeah. But that was 84. I couldn't remember any other game that Scotland won 1-0, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, okay then. Both of you just slightly out there by a decade or so. That's the widest we've ever had on the programme. I mentioned just before it, one of Fergie's fledglings, Mark McGee, back in at Barnet. I suppose he's got a tough job there at the bottom of the table. He's got to try and save them and salvage something. And I think in a strange sort of way at that level, maybe do something that reignites his reputation down there. He had a good reputation at one point.
We had a fantastic reputation at Reading, Wolves. Did a fantastic job at Motherwell. So it's just his enthusiasm and passion that he'll want to go back in and believe with his experience and that passion he can transfer that to the players and certainly get them out of the predicament that they're in at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's why Gordon Strachan had him at number 2. He brought something to the table. The guys all loved working for him. As Gus said, he's been about, he knows the contact's down there, so it'll be interesting to see if they start climbing the league. Yeah,
just 4 points above Chesterfield. We wish him well, because I think, Ruffy, you know, on the times that we've had him in here, he knows his football. He's good at the man management that we're talking about as well. A lot of the Motherwell players we spoke to last season were disappointed that he you know, disappointed that he was sacked.
Yeah, I think it was one of these times in football. I think it was just, was it 2 or 3 weeks after Celtic had hammered Motherwell something big at Parkhead, and then there was another couple of bad results. I just think it came at the wrong time for him. You know, I think he believed that they weren't far away for getting a right good side together and going on a wee run.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to other matters as well. The small matter of the Challenge Cup draw that was made earlier today, and here is the draw, which is kept apart both Scottish clubs. And I think when you see that the Crusaders will be heading to Inverness, eventually they'll be heading to Inverness, I can tell you, there you are. It's Crusaders against Inverness, New Saints against Dumbarton. So we could have a situation, Ruffy, where two clubs not from Scotland could be in the final.
Yeah, we're obviously talking about Inverness. John Robertson's got them on a good run now. I think Dumbarton have been the surprise package this year, even in the league as well. I think they're doing remarkably well down there. He's brought in a lot of experienced players and he's getting the rewards from it. But I think, yeah, if we want to be a wee bit biased, we want to see the two Scottish clubs there.
Yeah, I was listening to people saying that, you know, it was a bit of an embarrassment, the Crusaders beating Dundee United. Should we be as snobby as that, Gus? Should they be doing better? Is there enough credence paid to that tournament as well?
Well, I think it's only really in the latter stages that it gets the focus from the clubs. I think Dundee United in the previous round against Linfield completely changed the whole team. So yeah. I don't know whether it was so much against Crusaders because of the new manager coming in. But Crusaders are a strong, powerful team. You know, doing pretty well in their domestic league. Is the gulf significantly greater between that and our championship? I don't think it would be from the top end of the Northern Ireland League. Well,
interestingly enough, we've caught up with an Inverness Caledonian Thistle fan. We've had him on before. I have to tell you, the last time we had him on, he completely demotivated and demoralised Ruffy and myself because he just felt as if Inverness were getting relegated, and they did. Lawrie Spence is up in Inverness, and I asked him first of all about the excitement of that Challenge Cup draw for Inverness.
Whoop-de-doo. It's the Challenge Cup. I don't think anybody actually really cares. It's vaguely interesting because it's not Dumbarton for the 450th time this season. But, you know, our reward for this will be to be stuck on Gaelic telly sometime on a Saturday evening where nobody's watching. So, yeah, brilliant.
Well, the last time I had a chat with you, you managed to demoralise me because Inverness were not going great guns, but I sense there might be a change in your mood because it seems as if John Robertson's starting to get things together. What's your take on that?
Well, the last time we spoke was about 7 months ago, and since then we've been relegated, and now we're 7th in the championship, and we've gone from being cup winners 2.5 years ago to now being so irrelevant that you only want to talk to me during international week when there's no premiership stuff going on.
That's a very, very good point. Harsh but true. But the good thing is, Lawrie, you've got a team there that haven't been doing well. People were looking at Robbo as your new manager and thinking, well, he's been before, might have had the same apathy as yourself. Are you confident that he can turn it around?
Well, we're doing a lot better than we were about 6 or 7 weeks ago. We're on this phenomenal run of, I think, 7 clean sheets straight. I mean, it's easy to forget that he had to sign pretty much an entire new squad. That's how it felt. And it's quite clear in the first couple of months he was really struggling to find a team that worked. But, you know, if you throw enough stuff at a wall, some of it sticks eventually. And we've got a good solid defence suddenly. We are grinding out results, which is something I've not seen for a long time. No longer am I nervous about us getting relegated for the second year in a row. The trouble now is whether we've already given ourselves too much ground to make up to get a playoff place out of this.
Yeah, well, that's my next question. Do you sense that if he can get that run that Robbo's been talking about, do you get the feeling that you guys are capable of making the playoffs?
it's tough because this is not a rubbish league. I mean, I think Brecon are the whipping boys, and then an away game against anybody else, even a draw is a pretty decent result. A Dundee United fan said to me, "You don't know you're in the Championship until you've been bodied by Dumbarton," which has happened to us already this year. Logic dictates now they've got Laszlo in, that Dundee United should very much be the team to beat, and then it's the next three are going to have a playoff spot. We've got 8 points to make up. It's still relatively early days. We've got 24 games left, but it's very hard. There are some pretty quality teams in this league. St Mirren, Dunfermline for a start. Livingston have made leaps and bounds over the last couple of years. I wouldn't write us off, but I don't think you put money on it at this point.
Yeah, okay, then I'm going to ask you the $64,000 question. Gut feeling, do you think you can make the playoffs?
Well, you know me, I'm an optimist.
Yeah, and that sums it up perfectly. Although, Ruffy and myself have wondered if you've ever thought of doing inspirational speaking or coaching for people who maybe not looking at things as positively as they should.
I thought I was already doing that with this.
There are so many people that are hanging on your every word. Lawrie, it's been a joy again talking to you. I'll see you at the next international break.
Thanks, love you too.
There you are. See the sincerity's oozing out of him.
He sussed you out, hasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. He's got me a tea.
Yeah. You can bring him down on Saturday for your game, just to lift everybody.
Yeah, we need to get Lawrie down to the Christmas party, just in case too many people are enjoying themselves. Good stuff to hear from Lawrie Spence, a realist about his club Inverness. But nevertheless, I think we Robbo will be desperate to win that trophy.
Oh yeah, as Lawrie said there, he's highlighted the problem that he had practically a whole squad, to recruit, and that would take time. But I think now you can see that he's getting the rewards for that, and I wouldn't be surprised. Laurie's been a wee bit cagey, and I think they'll get in the playoffs.
Yeah, okay. As far as the other appointments, we talked about Mark McGee there, we talked about the Challenge Cup. A couple of appointments that caught my eye yesterday. Gary Boland comes in at Cowdenbeath. Again, we're talking about Mark McGee's predicament at the bottom end of League Two in England. Gary Boland's got a thankless task with Cowdenbeath.
I read recently that Billy Brown, in departing, said it's the hardest job in Scottish football. I'd ask him to try Queen's Park as well. It is just slightly harder as well. But no, Gary's got a fantastic track record, and believes with his contacts and his experience, that he can maybe turn that around. It is difficult. It's really difficult at part-time level. But as I said, he's got the experience of it.
Yeah, and Danny Lennon in at Clyde, Ruffy. I think, again, Danny's good coaching, but he's going to realise the difficulties of trying to get players in there.
Yeah, but I think when you've been at the level that Danny was at and you've been out of the game for so long, obviously he was helping a couple of the Scottish teams as well, but when you get the chance to get back in, you jump in it right away and try and just rebuild your career.
Yep, okay. After the break, we'll talk about Celtic. They're having an AGM tomorrow. I think it might be one of those easy afternoons for Celtic. Everything seems to be rosy in the garden. We'll discuss that. We'll also discuss another team on an unbelievable run for titles. That is, of course, Glasgow City. They celebrated 11 in a row, and their midfielder Leanne Crichton came in to have a wee chat with us as well. That's all coming up after this quick break. Okay, we were well out there, boys, by a long way. I have to say, Al Capone, who'd have thought tax evasion, not tax avoidance? There you are, eh? He must have been getting pelters around about that time. So, We're going to hear from Leanne Crichton shortly on the champions Glasgow City, 11 in a row. Scott Booth mentioned on the programme last night that it could be a long time before anyone achieves that in the women's game as it gets stronger and stronger. Of course, Celtic at this moment on a run. The Invincibles. I imagine the AGM will be one of those. Well, it's going to be the easiest one ever. The manager walks on, gets a standing ovation. Everybody on the board gets voted back on, and it's all roads to the 5th of December, Ruffy, and trying to make sure that they're in the Europa League after the Christmas holidays.
Yep, well, I don't think things could be any brighter than what they are now. Obviously, the group of young players that they've got there, Kieran Tierney, bags of money floating about. They seem to be using it very, very wisely, and a good run in the Europa is probably the next thing that's on the horizon.
I mean, when you think about it, Gus, if Virgil van Dijk were to move on and the money they get from the Champions League, I mean, financially now, it is. I mean, I think the gap's getting bigger again for anybody to try and close it.
It is getting bigger, and that's the hard bit for anybody. Everybody talks about Rangers bringing the challenge, but for anybody to challenge Celtic now is getting harder and harder. I think in recent years the AGMs have just been, as basic and as simple from the football front, as it could possibly be. It's same again tomorrow.
Yeah, and the other point here, I think that they'll probably get positive feedback on it is the amount of players from their academy that have managed to break through or at least get recognition in some form or other of first team games, I think is significant. There were occasions before when maybe it was really difficult for them to break through, but they've managed to get a good batch of them. I mean, you had Anthony Ralston at Queen's Park.
Well, Anthony was only 16 when we had him, but excellent he was. We had him for 6 months and played a really significant part in his development and giving him first team football. we then couldn't get him back again because
you tried like a madman to get him back.
We tried desperately, but then there were other championship clubs wanting him, but Celtic obviously knew that they was going to push through into the first team. But there's still there's guys like Tierney, Calvin Miller, Ralston, Mikey Johnston that are all there. Aitchison as well. There's guys out on loan, playing League One and Championship. Their youth department, their what I call it conveyor belt of talent, is stronger than anybody else as well.
Yep. At the weekends we have a reporter from Glasgow City, Leanne Crichton, going out to games for us. She's well used to winning, playing for club and for country as well. And she came into the studios earlier after a weekend of celebrations for Glasgow City. They've won the title again. It's a little bit closer this time. Hibs pushing them close towards the end of the season, but in the end, City get over the line. I asked her first of all about winning that title.
Ecstatic. It's been great. The girls totally deserved that win on Sunday. It was a great end to the season, and we definitely enjoyed the moment, I think.
Yeah. Is it a bigger challenge now? Can you sense that slowly but surely they're closing the gap on you? It's becoming a more competitive league?
You can. The game on Sunday, I felt that before the game. There's league titles that I've won at City in the past, and you've went into the last couple of games of the season with nothing to play for. For us on Sunday, we went to our biggest rivals knowing that we needed to win that game in order to win the league, and that's not something that really happens in Scotland. I know over the last couple of years, during my time that I've been away as well, it has been tighter, but I think it added a real edge to the game for us, and it was a fantastic way for us to win it.
Yeah, Scott Booth reckons it's going to be an achievement that'll be a long time before somebody breaks it, and I think he's referring to the fact that the women's game is getting better and better.
It is, it's definitely getting stronger, and it's great to see, and throughout both Glasgow City, Hibs, other teams that push us on, there's a lot of Scottish talent through that as well, which is fantastic for us. But I think he's right, I don't think it'll happen again. It might, if Celtic keep going the way they're going in Scotland and running away with it as they are now, we might see it in a couple of years, but it's certainly an achievement that's untouchable right now.
Yeah, you touched on Scotland there. I would imagine you feel there's a great sense of optimism about what Shelley Kerr is about to embark on with the players coming through.
Yeah, it's great. The amount of talent that we've got in Scotland. There is probably 50% of the squad that play away out with across Europe. But I think to see the amount of talent that's here in Scotland playing week in, week out, holding down jerseys at top clubs and performing as well. It doesn't matter. The players could be away at other teams, but it's game time, it's minutes, it's competitive, and it's added a real edge to how Scotland have played over the last couple of years as well, having that competitiveness there.
Yeah, there is a downside to this. You've bagged the league medal, you're going to miss the cup.
I know, it's that is really disappointing, to be honest. It's the way it's worked out in terms of fixtures. I think there was a bit of a mix-up at the midpoint of the season in terms of our under-19 Scotland squad being away, and I think the fixture list get kind of quite cramped, so they've had to extend the fixtures by a week, and that means that I miss out, and potentially Glasgow City as well could be left without some of our key Irish internationalists as well if they're called into the squad. So for us it's bittersweet in terms of that. I trust the girls to go and perform, and I'll certainly be cheering them from afar that day, but it's disappointing.
Yeah, okay. As far as the cup final is concerned then, do you feel you've got enough strength and depth as a squad to be able to complete the double?
Yeah, definitely. I think in the last probably month or so there's not actually been too much playing time, in the sense that we've been able to keep the squad fresh. Scott's made a lot of changes. We've had probably 3 games in 8 days at times, and he's been able to rotate the squad, give players a bit of rest and recovery that probably need it more. Probably me, one of them being a bit older. But there's certainly players that have come in at the midpoint of the season as well, and they come on and they do a job. The girls are buzzing, and there's no better feeling than a cup final to end the season. So anybody that's given their chance on that day is, I've got no doubt that they'll perform.
Yeah, you mentioned there as if you were nearing retirement. There's still a good 3 or 4 years in you.
Aye, no chance.
Yeah.
I'll keep going now. I think I've got a wee bit in my legs yet, so I'm probably feeling as fit as I have done, to be honest, over the last couple of years. So just winning on Sunday just gave me that edge again. It has been a bit of an up and down year in terms of where the year began and how it's ended, but I definitely sat on Sunday night and was thankful for the position that I'm in, and the group of girls at Glasgow City, there's no better place to be than now, and I'm enjoying my time playing, so hopefully that continues.
Yeah, are you open to negotiation with Glasgow City to extend that stay?
Definitely. I love being at home. When I was away playing at Notts County, there was one thing that I missed, in any Glaswegian's probably the same. We do like being in Glasgow and around the people that we know, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my time, and working under Scott this year has been great, so I'm hoping that we can sort something out for the season ahead.
Yeah, realistically, Ruffy, she just wants to make sure she's here in Glasgow for the Peter and Ruffy football show on a Saturday. That's the real reason behind the deal. Once you join the winning team, that's it.
Yep, I think she will be gutted and missing the final. I think everybody wants to play in finals and get winners' medals, but I'm sure the girls will do their best for her. Yeah,
here's a question. We're talking about Glasgow City. Leanne mentioned Celtic there in that run. Who knows where it's going to end? Do you think Man City can do the same in England, Gus? It's a sensational run they're on, and the team just it seems to be getting better and better. They're 8 points ahead at the moment.
I think they'll win the league this year, but to go season after season in the English Premiership, that's a different ask. Do
you think you can go unbeaten this season? Emulate what Arsenal achieved?
I think it's tougher down in England, but I think if I was going to bet on it, I'd say no. It's because of the challenges that come with England and the physicality down there. But they have a squad that's capable of doing it. But I just think there's always a surprise result along the way. Whether it be when it's coming down to the tail end, and I know Man City are going to be at the top end competing for the title, but the teams down at the bottom, it is such a massive incentive to stay in that Premiership, that's the kind of time that they're likely to slip up.
Yeah, could you go for that, Ruffy, if we were having a wee bet together?
What, you think they will go through the whole season?
Well, I'm just asking if
I'll
you want to
take
go
that bet.
No, I'm not going. I'm betting they won't.
No.
Are you taking it?
Yeah, I certainly am not. I agree 100% everything that Gus said there. There will be a night when things won't all go to plan.
Yeah, one little footnote, Ruffy. They mentioned there De Bruyne. As if he should be mentioned in the same breath as Ronaldo and Messi. He said doesn't really care about that. He is good, but I don't think he's that good. Do you?
No, again, I'm falling into the same thing. Go to a World Cup and prove to us against the really good players that you are world class, and I'm sure there's every chance that he will.
Yeah, well, as Leanne mentioned, there's great Glasgow phrases that come to mind. You do my boxing, because you always mention somebody's got to do it at a World Cup. He always gets it in, Gus, as part of the contract when we actually signed him. The World Cup and Ruffy had to be mentioned in the same sentence. We wish you all the best with Queen's Park for the rest of the season. From Ruffy and myself, good night.